Good morning, Wildcats. My name's Taylor Cowling. I'm a senior at Kennedale High School. I've gone here since the 4th grade, and today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. G about the proposed bond and also the 4-day school week. So, the first question, when does this 4-day week start?
It'll start in the spring semester of next school year, so January of 2025-6.
Why Mondays?
We already have federal holidays off on Mondays, so for families to make plans for their children, it just seemed like a more logical decision. Plus, we have games on Friday nights, and we have so many groups that are involved in those games. Mm-hmm. It's really not a day off. So,
there's a concern about childcare. What had the district done to help with this issue?
We just had presentations from 4 different companies that came in and presented to the board on options for childcare, and we're still in that process of deciding on that.
Okay, the district feeds kids meals over the weekend. Are they extending it through Monday?
Yes. So we have already been working. Dr. Devlin, our director of counseling services, has already been in touch with our providers for those meals, and they are more than happy to expand that to Mondays as well.
Now back onto the bond. Why are we bringing it back?
Well, in the bond from 2 years ago, there were some things that were not added into the bond that were not put there. So I think there's a big misconception that these are the same proposals that are just being recycled again through this bond. That's not the case. In fact, we're standing in the high school auditorium right now. This was not part of the bond proposal. Renovating the interior was, but renovating the sound booth, which is the original sound booth to this building, which was built in 1998, and the curtains, the lighting, all of that, all original to the building. The stage that we're standing on needs some repair. The seating that's falling apart needs to be replaced. All of those things were not in the previous bond. Okay. Also, that was Proposition C. Added on with Proposition C is some transportation concerns that we have. We have buses that require a CDL. Not all of our sponsors and teachers can get CDLs, and the state has made it very, very difficult to be able to do that. So what we are proposing with this bond proposal for the auditorium is to add in transportation, to address some transportation concerns by buying smaller buses that allow our sponsors, coaches, teachers to drive them without having the requirement of having a CDL. So, and then the pack, the pack, we touched on the sound and the lighting in there, but we did not touch on the renovations of the interior. And so that is the Proposition B. And then Proposition A is something that was on the previous bond, but it was not a standalone package like it is now. It was tied in with the high school stadium. And so now it's its own proposition.
So is there anything that you didn't just mention that the bond is going to be covering this time that it didn't last time?
The auditorium, the PAC, and the transportation.
Okay. Yeah. So are the taxes going to be going up?
No. So let me clarify that, because that's another misconception, because we set the tax rate. Okay. And so our tax rate for the previous bond was 38 cents. That 38 cents that will be on our INS side of our taxes will not go up at all. It'll stay at 38 cents. And there's a way that we've been able to do that, because as we pay down our bonds, we have the capacity to go back out for more bond without raising the tax rate.
So even with the vouchers passing the House?
Well, the vouchers, the funding that might affect would be on our M&O side. So we have 2 different tax rates. We have our M&O, which is our maintenance and operation tax rate, which currently is 75 cents. And then the INS tax rate that I said, which is 38 cents. The INS tax rate is solely for bonds. The M&O tax rate is for our maintenance and operations, which pays 80% of that is our payroll and benefits, our utilities to run the buildings, our supplies. So that's all factored into that tax rate. The basic allotment, what we get per student, if we lost students, we would lose funding because of attendance and because of the enrollment. that would come off the M&O side. That would not affect the INS side, so it shouldn't affect our bonds at all.
Okay. So why is it important to fix these facilities that the voters rejected last time?
The junior high stadium, have you seen the junior high stadium? Okay,
Yeah.
that stadium was built in the 1970s, I think 1974, I believe. The seating, the stands were built in 1974. They are not ADA compliant. The press box was built in 1974. It's fallen apart. The scoreboard is the original scoreboard for that stadium from the 1970s, I believe. It's had a lot of work done on it, but it's the original one. The lighting from the 1970s. Nothing there. This track, you walk around the track and you can feel that the base underneath, just recovering the track is one thing. We can do that, but to go in and really fix it, you're going to have to go in and do the base, and that gets very, very expensive. So all the things that I'm talking about require funds that we don't have in our budget. And the only way that they will ever get fixed is through the bond.
Okay. So approximately 14,000 people move into the Metroplex each month. What is Kennedale's plan to be able to accommodate the amount of growth that the school district will get?
Well, I think that's a misconception, because I've heard that we're overflowing, we're at capacity. That's not the case. In fact, our enrollments are decreasing because the housing prices are not affordable for young families to move in. So we have an aging population with our student population that's aging out, and we don't have students coming in to replace that because of the housing market.
Do you foresee that to grow?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of potential properties where they could be expanded upon. You know, there's areas out east of town, southwest of town, sorry. There's little pockets throughout, but we are pretty much landlocked. You know, there's not a whole lot of growth opportunity. And so the houses, I believe our average house price is $359,000 in Kennedale. Not a lot of young families can afford to move into those homes.
Okay. So growth or not, this year I personally faced a tough situation where some of my college applications were affected because my transcripts were not uploaded in time. When I reached out to the counselors, it was very hard to get a response. And when I did, they told me that they had over 200 seniors and there just wasn't enough time. So with the possible growth in our area, or even if it just stayed the same, are there any plans to increase counselor support so that future students don't face these same challenges during such a critical moment in their education?
This is the first I'm hearing of this. So I don't think that it has ever been an issue in the past, you know, and I don't know that we can react off of 1 year based off of, I know we have had some changes with our counseling situation, you know. That's something we can explore and look at, but I don't see it being a factor in the future.
Okay. And last question, with school choice legislation passing the Texas House, what concerns or opportunities do you foresee for our district?
Well, I've told our staff at the beginning of the school year, we're in competition for our families and for our students, you know, and so we have all kinds of opportunities in our district. Our CTE program is top of the line for our size school district. Our boys basketball team just won state. Our girls basketball team was one round away from making it to state. I mean, so we have lots of opportunities. Our band program is exceptional. Our choir program, we just won sweepstakes from junior high all the way through high school. We have great opportunities in our district for students' success. And I think one of our things is we're going to be marketing that. We're going to be trying to bring in students from other districts. We may lose some students because of the school choice and the vouchers, but I think we're going to gain students also because of the opportunities we have. We also have a small town feel, big time appeal, and that's our big selling point.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, when you're talking about how are we going to attract students and, you know, deal with the voucher situation and choice, choice has been around for years. We have choice because we have students who can go to Mansfield, they can go to Arlington, they can go to private school, they can go to charter schools. Choice has been around for a very long time, so this is not something that's new. What I would say also how we're attracting, We have a lot of construction going on. The last bond was it's touching on every building in our district, renovating the interiors. You yourself are experiencing that. As a student here at the high school, we have lots of construction going on, and the reality is construction's not always fun, but you got to get through it to get to the end result. And once we get to that end result, our facilities are going to be top notch, and they're going to be taking us into the future. And that to me is appealing for families and for students to want to be here. I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Yes.
So you see the renovations that are going on. They're happening every day, and they've been going on all school year. How do you feel about what you see happening with the transition?
I think it's a really nice feeling knowing that the student body is being taken care of. And I think all of these needs that we have to be met, I think they're very important. Whenever safety becomes a concern, you have to draw the line, and you have to actually put efforts towards that. And like the junior high stadium, we can't even host games over there anymore because it's a safety concern. So whenever things like that are happening, I think that's when it's really time to do some action. And so I support these. So there you have it, everyone. Get out there and vote May 3rd. This is Taylor Cowling with the Kennedale News. Thank you.